Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is lifting restrictions on contacts between U.S. officials and their Taiwanese counterparts, a move welcomed by Taiwan but labeled by some observers a publicity stunt likely designed to anger China. The announcement came late on Saturday, just 11 days before the departure of President Donald Trump, whose foreign relations have been defined by increased hostilities with Beijing. In a statement, Pompeo said the U.S. State Department had imposed the complex internal restrictions on itself in an attempt to appease the communist regime in Beijing, and he was now lifting them all. The guidelines included restrictions on where representatives could meet, and limited the ranks allowed to attend Taiwan's National Day celebrations. They also said the U.S. should not refer to Taiwan as a country or government. The Chinese Communist Party has never ruled Taiwan, but Beijing considers it a wayward province that must be returned to the fold, by force if necessary. It claims Taiwan's governing leaders, who say the island is a sovereign state, are separatists. Beijing says the status of Taiwan is the most sensitive issue in its relationship with the U.S. The U.S. has no formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, but has for decades operated under legislation mandating the U.S. provide Taiwan with support, including arms sales, in its resistance to Chinese pressure. Taiwan's unofficial embassy in Washington, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office, said the U.S. move showed the strength and depth of the U.S. relationship with Taiwan. Decades of discrimination, removed, Taiwan's representative in the U.S., by Kim Xiao, said on Twitter, "A huge day in our bilateral relationship. I will cherish every opportunity." Taiwan's Foreign Minister, Joseph Wu, thanked Pompeo for lifting the unnecessarily limiting restrictions. The closer partnership between Taiwan and the U.S. is firmly based on our shared values, common interests and unshakable belief in freedom and democracy, he said. Recent U.S. administrations have followed the guidelines less and less, and the official change was not unexpected. The Taiwan Assurance Act of 2019 noted the self-imposed restrictions had resulted in insufficient high-level communication, and mandated a review within 180 days, and a reissuing of the guidelines. Gerrit van der Wees, a former diplomat and Taiwan commentator who teaches the history of Taiwan at George Mason University, said a bipartisan Congress coalition had been pushing for the welcome changes for several years. The guidelines were initiated in 1978, when U.S. broke relations with the nationalist Chinese government, as it was still claiming sovereignty over China, he said. However, after Taiwan became a vibrant democracy, the relationship fundamentally changed, and the guidelines came to be seen as increasingly anachronistic in dealing with a democratic partner who is faced by an aggressive and belligerent neighbor. Other observers greeted Pompeo's announcement with skepticism, suggesting it was just another move taken by the administration since the election to antagonize China and make things difficult for Biden. One can argue about the merits of the policy, but Pompeo did this 11 days before a transition of power and seemingly without consulting with his successor, Thomas Wright, senior fellow at the Brookings Institute, told The Guardian. Wright dismissed comments by the State Department's top official in the region, David Stilwell, to the Financial Times, denying the decision was rushed. The only conclusion to draw is that his motive is political, to push Biden into a standoff with China in his first weeks, or to reverse his decision, which he will gleefully portray as soft on China. Jessica Droon, an on-resident fellow at Project 2049, a think tank focusing on security in the Asia-Pacific region, said there was nothing inherently wrong in the substance of Pompeo's announcement. The seeming lack of coordination with the incoming administration, and the abruptness of the announcement against the backdrop of domestic political turmoil, however, could set a dangerous precedent of making Taiwan a partisan issue in the United States, she said. The United States policy towards Taiwan, as imperfect as some may find it, has endured and benefited from consistent support from both sides of the aisle, and a deliberate move to undermine this puts Taiwan in the crosshairs of partisan whims. A spokesperson for the Biden transition team told the Financial Times the incoming president was committed to the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act, which defined relations between the two governments, and to the U.S.'s One China policy. Once in office, He will continue to support a peaceful resolution of cross-strait issues consistent with the wishes and best interests of the people of Taiwan, the spokesperson said. Last week, Pompeo announced a last-minute visit to Taiwan next week by the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Kelly Craft, to meet senior Taiwanese leaders. The announcement prompted China to warn on Thursday that the Trump administration was playing with fire.